Entrepreneurship is authenticity. I have an idea.
Yeah.
I am worthy. I am a boss. The first step starts with, I don't hate myself. I don't think I need to change. I don't think that I need to play this game to get to this next step. I am just fine right this very second.
All right, here we are, the busy studio in LA. I'm here with Heather Falcone, CEO of Thermal-Vac, a really crazy company, and I want to talk about that. And mostly, I want to talk to you about your journey as a leader and as a human, and the lessons that you've learned. But let's start with your company, right? Because you're not a typical startup. Your dad started the company.
He did.
And you're the CEO now. Mm-hmm. So Thermal-Vac is weird. You're like, you told me that at one point it's like a dry cleaner for satellite parts.
Yeah, it's an easy way to remember it.
Take it, like, start from the top.
From like I was born.
Well, no. Let's move along
Baby
a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
So like with Thermal-Vac, because it is really cool. It's a great startup story.
Right. Anything you can do, I can do better. That's kind of the motto of the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So they say, okay, I'm tired of doing this traditional thing. I think I could do this better myself. And that's what my dad said. So we found a niche in Orange County during the aerospace boom. And he said, Thermal-Vac is it. Got a furnace, started going. So he ran his company drunk as a skunk for a number of years, got sober when I was 8. And then he ran the company to grow exponentially over the next 30 some odd years. We just celebrated our 39th anniversary last Thursday. So that's pretty cool. And if we had to encapsulate it down to what we do. So there's metal pieces. For example, I'm going to touch my little mic here. Not really, because we don't want to mess up your setup.
Right.
But this spring on the mic, it springs because it was heat treated in a very specific way. Springs don't come out of the ground looking like springs. So we take materials from customers and we transform them in some sort of usable way. Heat it up, cool it down, make it harder, make it softer, make it more malleable, more ductile, whatever the customer wants. Now, our customers happen to be some of the biggest players in space and defense, and that makes it a little bit more special. But yes, we're a glorified dry cleaner. We don't make shirts. We don't design pants. Dry cleaners just take other people's shirts and pants and do stuff to it and give it back. We're the same. We don't carry any product. We don't manufacture anything. We just sell ourselves. We were talking about OnlyFans. We're like the OnlyFans, but aerospace.
Right. Okay. So, and OnlyFans definitely fills a certain niche, and it's a different niche. So how did your dad come up with this idea? Like, how did he know that this was like a thing, like a niche?
Well, he had been working in the industry for a number of years. He's not a college-educated man. He is a self-made man.
Yeah.
So straight out of high school, he got married at 18. He needed to, take care of his family. His dad was a welder for a series of aerospace companies, including Aerojet back in the day. They traveled around, lived around the country, and even in Canada for a period of time. So being the competitive person that he would sit at the dinner table with his dad, and he wanted to talk about something other than welding. So it was like brazing. What's the furthest away, but also something that's tangential, so that he could still know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And brazing was it, because the
brazing.
Yes.
Wait, what is brazing?
Anything above 740 degrees Fahrenheit is now brazing. So you take metal, join it together with a different metal. That's brazing. At lower temperatures, it's welding. You've probably seen a pipe sweated at your house, or you've seen a beam being welded up in, a big skyscraper, but we're doing it inside of mostly a vacuum furnace.
Wow. So here's what I know about welding. When there was a solar eclipse and you had to look at the sun, my husband welds poorly and not for satellite stuff. We used the welding helmets to stare at the sun. Does that work? Because I didn't go blind.
Absolutely. It's the glass inside the hood.
So we walked around like that. So,
I mean, just like
a
this,
little
right?
tip. Yeah, like it was, and it works, and we're not blind. So, okay, so let's talk about you, right? Mm-hmm. So your dad started and you're not a traditional startup founder. But what you are, and what I've we've known each other for a little while, and we've been on stage together, but you are what I would call an entrepreneurial leader, right? You lead with the spirit of entrepreneurship, and you speak entrepreneur fluently, right?
Oh,
And you
thank you.
encourage the people who work for you to be the very best that they can. You know, you are a leader who inspires your employees, right? They're
Thank you.
very, very important to you. So, and you have this saying, right? And we'll get into this a little bit more. And your saying is reject mediocrity. And
Absolutely.
you preach that. You preach it to everyone you preach it to me, right? It is a platform that you talk to me about, you know, your style of leadership and how you incorporate the idea of entrepreneurial thinking and spirit into how you lead.
It was accidental entrepreneurship because when you're growing up with a father who is an entrepreneur, it is just genetic. And you get this nature nurture component where I was exposed to business from a very, very early age. So when most kids are just, taking high school classes, I'm working part-time from age around 12 and on. I know accounts payable, I know accounts receivable, I know how to file, and I know how to fax, I know how to read a contract. That gives you a leg up no matter what. And you can't help but see your life and your different activities in your life through an entrepreneurial lens. So I think that's where I first got my ideas of leadership, was watching how our family interacted in this business, because it is all encompassing. My dad worked until he lost a marriage. My dad lost his sobriety. He gained his sobriety. He gained a new marriage, all in the span of a business. Oh, and he had 4 kids, by the way. So, that spirit manifests itself into all of his children. And I feel really grateful that I got exposed to that. So when I think of myself as a leader, it's a long journey, because I never consider myself a lead from the front kind of gal. I know you're kind of the same.
Yeah.
Like, we like to just kind of.
Yeah. Sneak attack.
Yeah, sneak attack. Because we don't need the rally cry. We don't need to be the drum beater. We don't need to be the voice that's out there saying, yes, we can. No, we're the silent, encouraging, enabling, facilitating. We're just getting rid of those blocks and letting people be great. I don't need to be great. I love seeing others be great. I love to be in their presence. And that took me a long time to kind of finesse.
Yeah.
Because the traditional cookie cutter, let's call it a stereotype of an entrepreneur, is that charismatic, just idyllic front man, that we're going to go ahead and say that white male that is out there and is not afraid to speak his mind.
I knew you were going to do it. I knew you were going to go there. Keep going.
I mean, down with the patriarchy. We'll talk about that later. So when I went along the last 21 years of my adult life, I wanted to just be there to help people be great. And that was not a subset of leadership that was either acknowledged or appreciated.
Yeah.
It wasn't, because it's not noisy, it's not apparent, you can't see it, and it doesn't produce the same tangible results as those high-red, dictator type, authoritative type leaders. But then I found it working, and I found that I grew close with our team members, and that they cared enough to share a piece of their life with me while coming and spending more time with me than they did with their own family. That's what's important to me. If they are sacrificing for a paycheck, it needs to be worthwhile. And I have an honor and a responsibility to be a good steward of their life that they're giving to me.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I've been seeing it.
Yeah, and another part of that's unique about your leadership is that you've written about this. You deeply believe in second chances, right? That's part of your philosophy as a leader, and you're a part of this group. You started a group, Chrysalis. Talk to me about that, because it is, I think it's really important to view leadership outside of the pedestal, right? Like, you get down there, you recruit people, you hire ex-cons. They were, and you are proud of that. Right? It's not like something you are proud of it. You stand for them and you stand beside them. So, and I've seen the pictures, like, I know it's true. Tell me about how that part of you became that part of Thermal-Vac.
Luckily, I had a great example in my dad. He became sober when I was 8. And as he journeyed through his sobriety journey, he would discover people that needed jobs because of their experience with some sort of systemic barrier, whether that was addiction or extreme poverty, if they were unstably housed, if they system justice impact. Those people floated into his life.
Yeah.
And he wanted to give back because he was receiving so much. So I got to see that. I spent a lot of my childhood down at AA Central Office. I sorted all the flyers. I went to so many spaghetti dinners. I knew all the nuns. And I'll tell you, a crotchety, old, sober nun, you do not want to mess with.
Sober nun?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
They're like a whole level up.
Wow.
That's a different story.
Okay, got to go there
But
sometime.
they're smoking, drinking nuns are a thing.
Yeah.
But these nuns are hardcore. So a lot of my life was spent around people that had already been in a fair chance kind of environment.
Yeah.
So when I got to be in a position of power, we automatically were kind of hiring program guys, let's just say. But that was a very narrow pool. And I was like, no, there are so many other people that are experiencing systemic barriers to employment. We've got to we got to move out. We got to expand.
Flank. Yep.
Yes. And Chrysalis is the one that enabled that for me because they're a nonprofit that's based on Skid Row. And they also have other offices, one in Anaheim, and that's the one I got involved in. And their whole entire mission and purpose of existing is to help people experiencing systemic barriers to employment.
Yeah.
And once I got hooked up with them, we're now at 54% of our total population identifies as one of those underrepresented groups.
Wow. Wow. And what is your experience with this? How, unless you have experienced it as a leader, how would you encourage other leaders to participate in those kinds of those second chance? Talk to me a little bit about that.
It can be very scary because as a society, we have placed these expectations of how a group might act. For example, someone who has formerly been incarcerated and is released typically has a stigma associated with them. Oh, you did something bad enough to where we had to punish you.
Yeah.
Therefore, you are bad for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
even though you've done your time, paid your dues, done everything you're supposed to, followed all the rules, and are now done with that. You still have this big albatross around your neck. And so I encourage everyone out there to understand that meeting people where they are is a secret sauce. If
to
you
everything,
figure that,
don't you think?
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. If you just are meeting people where they are and allowing them to exist as a human,
Yeah.
they are going to perform.
Like, how do you meet someone halfway like that? What's your trick?
Well, there's a couple of tricks. The first one is understand that your ego is in the way.
Yeah.
Just stop that.
Yeah.
Like literally turn it off.
Yeah.
And I know that's really tough for us that have sat in that seat for a long time. We have massive egos.
Totally.
Check your ego. And meeting people where they are is just sitting down and talking. Most of them have been traumatized to the nth degree. They don't want to be re-traumatized, but they certainly want to tell you what they've learned. Many of them come out with amazing lessons and insight that I've never experienced in my whole life.
Yeah.
They have lived experience I will never have.
Yeah.
And there is a bottom line impact to understanding people at that soul-based level.
Yeah.
If you can break out that piece and put it to work in your business, you have an untapped talent pool nobody else is playing with right now. They don't want to. They don't have the strength.
Yeah.
So I would say man up, put your ego aside, and let's go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you make it sound, so intuitive, right? But in some ways it's counterintuitive, right? And in some ways you're counterintuitive, right? Like, let's talk about you for a second. All right. So we've got the Thermal-Vac, we've got second chances that you've written about, and you have, really advocated for this group of untapped talent. You're a bit controversial sometimes as a leader, right? And that's okay. I think that's really, really good. And you have important things to say, but the style of you is unconventional, right? Which, we know that, we embrace it. Talk to me about authenticity and how you are, as a leader, one of the more, you truly don't give a fuck, right? I've seen you on stage. I've been on stage with you, and you we talk a lot about authenticity, but a lot of it is inauthentic, right? So talk to me about how you were able to find that part of you that you stand for, and you are unapologetic, right? How did you get there?
Through a lot of fucking pain.
Yeah.
There's purpose in the pain. I spent most of my adult life trying to do and be what I thought my father wanted me to be.
Right.
And in order to be loved, I had to be perfect.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Any little girl out there right now is thinking that to themselves. My hair, my makeup, my body type.
Right.
What job do I need to have? Am I in the right college degree? Fuck that.
Right.
Why are we making other people happy? And
Right.
that's what I spent so long doing. And then in 2018, I almost died.
Yeah.
And then I was
gonna
like,
get to that.
bye.
Yeah.
Bye. I'm sitting there very sick, pumping
you-
myself full of chemicals.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's transformational. It's like I said, it's pain with purpose. I'm staring at four walls because I'm trying to just stay alive, and I did not want sickness to identify me. But when I didn't let that identify me, I could no longer identify what was me.
Right.
Because everything that I was surrounding this person, this persona, this bullshit veneer that I just put right up for everybody. I couldn't be that. I looked like shit. My hair fell out.
You had cancer.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. And they
There-
cut
so
out
that-
a portion
that
of my
was what-
colon. And
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
like in some ways losing your hair was symbolic,
Mhm.
right? Like you emerged as a different version, a better, more authentic version of who you are.
authentic is so overplayed and so overused.
Totally. We just did a podcast on it. Like,
It's
what the fuck
awful.
even is it? Right?
It's this, buzzword bingo bullshit. But if we look past that and we get to the behaviors around authenticity and how society has set us up to be inauthentic in order to be successful, they've written whole books about how to be inauthentic and play in the man's world.
Yeah.
Look at Lean In.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, yay, Sheryl Sandberg, you're so awesome. No, Sheryl Sandberg taught us how to succeed in the patriarchy.
Right.
No, that is not authenticity.
Right.
The rules are there because some guy said they were 100 years ago, and nobody has questioned it since. And those that are questioning it are silenced. And I am here to make sure that I'm never silent, and they will never shut me up again. And if I lose every friend I ever had, they will understand that that's because I am who I am now.
Yeah.
And I am not going to compromise on any of that. And I'm out there to make sure that the voices of the silenced are the ones being heard through my privilege, through my ability to have a voice. I'm using that to manifest greatness of all the others that need to be grabbed and pulled right along with us.
Right. So for somebody who's not going through a transformative event, a defining event like dying of cancer, how can we transform ourselves to be more authentic? Right?
That's the stuff, right? That's the eternal problem. And I think, I'll talk specifically about women and those who identify as women. There is an opportunity for us to redefine what it is to be a woman in whatever way is successful for ourselves, and to take that opportunity in small doses. The very first step being the self-discovery of I'm okay. I am good. I am worthy. I am loved. To establish a sense of safety before you go out into the world and be all crazy like I am. That's like so far down the road. The first step starts with, I don't hate myself.
Yeah.
I don't think I need to change. I don't think that I need to play this game to get to this next step. I am just fine right this very second.
Right.
That's a huge step for most people. The diet culture tells us otherwise. The business culture tells us otherwise. The self-help culture tells us otherwise. Everything tells us we need to be better. We need to be different. We need to change.
Yeah.
And that's okay if you want to do that for yourself.
Right.
That's the very, very first step, is finding out, what do you want for yourself?
Yeah, I think that is super crucial, for not just for anyone in life. Like once you identify what it is you want to be, that is a hard step to take. That first step of, and then being able to have the presence to know that all these other things do not define who you are or what you stand for.
Exactly.
But that's some grown up shit, right? Like that's really grown up. And so, we're in this culture where we are defined in the moment. We're defined on Instagram, and so the idea of authenticity is being eradicated, like the actual meaning, like authentic, what is it? Right? Like everybody, authentic leadership is a thing, authentic, startup pitches.
Right.
what is the deal? Right? Like, how can you be authentic when the world is defining you by its, very, very thin, requirements?
It's a box. They're
It's
trying
a
to put you in a
box.
box. But what I love about your podcast and why you're bringing entrepreneurs on is because entrepreneurship is authenticity.
Yeah.
At its very core, it's some person that decided, I, not they.
Yeah.
I am a boss. I have an idea.
Yeah.
I am worthy. I can manifest this shit. That right there is a big step into understanding and owning the self,
Yeah.
that authentic self.
Yeah.
And I wish we could come up with a better word because I'm just so
I
tired
know.
of the
We'll
word.
work on that.
I know we need to workshop it.
Yeah, let's definitely do that.
Yeah.
I think like with entrepreneurship, and one of the reasons that, when I'm around entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial leaders, accidental entrepreneurs like you, like my faith in humanity is restored, right? Because it is, this optimism. When you are an entrepreneur or a leader like you are putting your shit out there.
Yes.
Right? You are putting it out there. You have to stand behind it. It is raw, right?
And it's dangerous.
And it's dangerous. And, which is why, when we have talked before, celebrating, women who are doing meaningful and purposeful things just by taking agency and showing up where they shouldn't be showing up.
Yeah.
I think your voice is such an important one in the world of entrepreneurship, right? Even though you're not a traditional startup. And so like your lessons for entrepreneurs who want to be inclusive leaders, right? Like you're very vanguard in your social programs within your corporate culture. Like how do you advise when you are working with your mentees? How do you advise on leadership that is inclusive?
Seek different voices. You can always find the voice that echoes your own.
Right.
And in a startup, it tends to be a petri dish of echoing your own self. You go out and you find and identify individuals who are you, either in your thought process or actions or behaviors. We have to actively break away from that because diversity of thought and inclusivity is just going to propel you that much faster. So when you think that they're the wrong hire because they said the wrong things or you don't agree with them, seek out those you disagree with.
Yeah.
Because those are the ones that are going to poke the holes in the ideas. They're the ones that are going to finesse your ideas. They're going to bring you the next brilliant thing that you never thought of because your blinders are on with your own bias. This is your baby, your blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
This is something you want to see happen. And so you are going to have an inherent bias towards your own ideas.
Yeah.
But if we're being inclusive in our thoughts and our actions, all that means is reaching out and actively making sure that dissent is heard, encouraged, and pulled out.
Yeah.
Especially of the quiet voices.
Are these skills that you're talking about, like listening, right? Listening is a really hard one. Like you seem to me to be gifted with these skills, right? Like they're talents. They're not really skills. Are these things that you can, as an entrepreneur, go out and learn? Entrepreneurs are funky, right? Because passion, it clouds judgment a lot of time. I've been there. You've been there.
Right.
So can you learn to be better at these things?
I am very optimistic that any person can learn.
Yeah.
Any person on this earth can learn because that's who we are as people. That's what we have evolved to be, is learning creatures. We are a higher educated brain. We have more wrinkles than everybody else. So you got to take your wrinkly, weird ass brain and use it to your best advantage. And that's making sure that we regularly and routinely question our own bias and reach out of our bubble.
Right.
So reading is my favorite pastime.
Yeah.
I read constantly. Read things that I don't like.
Yeah.
I read all the things that make me angry.
Right.
Because
that's so important.
It gets you riled up too. You get that your passion.
What makes you angry? Like what kind of things? Go ahead, do
What
it.
makes me angry? The racialized systemic patriarchy of this country. I hate all of that. I understand that we made this collectively as a society, worldwide. This is not a United States problem, but I'm allowed to hate it. And thank all that's up there. Thank the goddess that I live in the United States where I can sit here and not worry about being shot right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel very honored to live in the country that I live in. And I feel obligated as a citizen of this country to make sure that I tell them when they suck. And right now we kind of suck in a lot of areas.
Yeah.
I'm truly unhappy with the state of affairs as it comes to the treatment of our formerly incarcerated members of the United States. There's millions of them out there, and they are the most underemployed or unemployed category in the United States. That it's just a statistical fact.
Yeah.
In 5 years, the recidivism rate is in like the 80%. You know,
It's
that's
astonishing.
ridiculously.
But there's a
ridiculously
reason
high.
for it, right? It's not like if you're, you come out of that environment and that situation and there's no opportunities for you,
No.
I mean, that's mathematical, right?
It is.
So,
It is.
that's why what you're doing is so beyond just leadership, because you're having a direct impact on society. And that's
Right.
kind of one of the tenets of what you believe. And it's also a part of your, and I'm not meaning to tell you what you are and aren't, but I seem to be going that way anyway. But
I love hearing about myself because,
I know.
our massive entrepreneurial
Let's
egos.
see, let's blow
We need the air
a little
conditioning
more.
on.
I know. Just blowing smoke up your skirt, sister. No, like the whole, the thing that we have connected on so much is the whole idea of rejecting mediocrity.
Yes.
Because we're ambitious people, you and I, right? And we are not ever comfortable with patterns and like we want
Status
to
quo.
be better and we want to bring people up with us, and you have the opportunity to actually do that. So the platform of reject mediocrity, right? Let's go back to that for a minute.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that, because that's powerful, right? Like what it means when you reject mediocrity.
It means that the status quo is no longer acceptable. That just getting by is no longer acceptable. That you having a mediocre life that you're just kind of okay with, and you're waking up every morning going,
Yeah.
that's mediocrity.
Yeah.
Rejecting that is powerful. And that doesn't make you a man hater. That doesn't make you this crazy person that wants to ostracize and put down others. It makes you a person that wants greatness for everyone. If we are all rejecting mediocrity, that means mediocrity is no longer allowed in this society. And we can all move towards greatness, whatever that is for us individually.
Exactly.
And that does not look the same. And so understanding that, we can find our own pieces of reflective mirror, like you and I, we play off each other very well because we understand that our greatness exists in our words, our writing, our ability to influence and encourage others. There are people out there like that, and there are others that are different. And reject mediocrity completely solely surrounds everything that you think is just fine. It doesn't have to be.
Right. Right.
And there's
and
power
it's
in that.
empowering. Exactly. When you reject mediocrity or you reject anything really
Yeah.
that's not serving you,
Mhm.
I think that is the most empowering idea that is around, and it's a real enabling idea for entrepreneurship, right? Because entrepreneurs see things that other people don't see, which is why, I see you as an entrepreneur. Right? You see opportunities where other people looked away. And that's a different kind of, rejecting of the norm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the fatal fears is rejection.
Yeah, it is. The brain perceives rejection as
Yes.
pain.
Right.
Right? That's how the neurology works. So that's why rejection is so, that's why the recidivism rate is so high, because it's just, a cycle.
It's a cycle, and it's very exciting and empowering to think and reclaim rejection as something that you can use to propel yourself.
Yeah.
Instead of being afraid of rejection and afraid of failure, afraid of being unloved, unwanted, and not belonging, we can reject that.
Right.
Push back and say, that does not define me.
Yeah.
That does not define my experience in this world.
Yeah.
And we can flip it right on its head, and now we've got endless opportunity.
Exactly. As we're kind of wrapping up here, like you did like this weird thing, like this, you started climbing mountains.
Just a few.
Just a
little bit.
Okay. So let's talk about that, right? Not just like, the Santa Monica Mountains, like you went big, right? And how high, Kilimanjaro?
Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
Just
And
right
you
here.
and you inked it on you. I remember that. And you got to base camp.
Everest Base Camp. I was attempting.
Okay.
Yeah. Didn't quite make that. I did get Giardia and had to get medevaced off, but it's still on the list. That's fine.
It's one of those medevaced here, medevaced there, almost
fine.
died. You also, okay, you got dragged by a hot air balloon. I saw the pictures. Okay, let's talk about okay, this is definitely rejecting mediocrity, but so on one of your adventures,
Kilimanjaro. Yeah.
You were on a balloon and take it from there.
So I'm in the middle of the Serengeti Desert, by the way.
Right.
We're just in the middle of nowhere in, Tanzania, which is, not the most developed nation. Right. And there are challenges, both logistically and every other way you could have challenges. So we decided a hot air balloon ride at sunrise. Though beautiful. Sounds idyllic. We had just summited the mountain. Everybody made it successfully. We were on a high. And we were just cruising, and we get into this hot air balloon. Well, first of all, it's on its side. So if you've ever done a hot air balloon ride.
Right, but it's supposed to be on its side, and then...
When it's windy. But most normal, we'll put that in quotes, normal ones, they've got like a little basket that's open, or you climb over the side and it's standing up straight.
Yeah, I avoid them. For reasons that you'll get into.
But this one was laying on its side because it's extremely windy conditions in the Serengeti all the time. So we're walking up and we're watching this guy fill a balloon, and we're just like, yeah, this is so cool. We're jamming. And then all of a sudden we're just like laying there because we're laying down and we're just staring at the flames over our head trying to fill this balloon. And then all of a sudden we feel it start to drag on the ground, and we're like, this is normal. This is normal. This is fine.
Yeah, we're good.
We're good. And we're dragging and dragging and picking up speed, but we're not lifting up. We're not lifting up. And I'm looking over a guy who's with me on this journey. He summited as well. And, we're all just laughing. This is fine. This wouldn't be unsafe. Never. And then we slammed into a 20-foot tall termite hill while we're dragging along the ground.
Yeah.
And one of the guys, broke his finger. One guy gouged out a huge chunk of his arm. I broke my orbital socket, broke my glasses.
Yep.
I'm bleeding. Everybody's screaming, ah! And we're all just like laying down, dragging along the ground and screaming. And there's fire. And this guy's like, ah! It was the most maniacal 5 minutes of my entire life.
Yeah, the story always when you told it the first time, I'm like, this could not be real. But then you produced the video, and I'm like, holy fuck, this really happened.
That's what I was kind of saying. Holy fuck. Actually, I was praying to all that was existing that we would survive. Yeah. But then all of a sudden, it was like, silent and beautiful. And we went on this gorgeous balloon ride for the next, half hour or so. And then we landed. And when you land, the same thing happens. And you fall over and you drag on the ground. And people are crying and grabbing on. Because there's no seeds. There's no, anything. So you're just like grabbing onto whatever you can. And that's kind of how life feels, I think, most of the time.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, you are a survivor, but you're also so inspiring. And everything about your story is not only entertaining and sometimes, PG-13 rated, but there are so many lessons that you can teach and that you share and that you are open with. And I think that your whole reject mediocrity is very powerful, especially for younger people, women in particular, but for everyone. And I think that, your leadership of inclusivity, I'm trying to create some takeaways here, right? So reject mediocrity, be inclusive and listen, and see those opportunities that you have seen.
Yes.
What would you add to that list of what makes you such a great leader?
First of all, learning to take compliments, because I instantly rejected everything you were just saying, because we are taught in ourselves that no, that's can't be true.
Yeah, sorry. No. Imposter.
Exactly. If only they knew. So the first thing is to gratefully receive compliments. So thank you for saying all those nice things about me. I'm truly trying to learn that skill. So I find that for women, that's a tough one. As far as leadership style, understanding that there is no one type of leader. Even the type of leadership I'm displaying is not the right type of leadership or the only type. Neither is the Bill Gates of the world or the Elon Musks or whatever style you want to think and read that book of the week. Leadership is not a box that you have to check.
Yeah.
Leadership is a growth path that will continually change, and you will not look the same as you do right now, even 6 months from now. And embracing that and understanding that that's part of your trajectory to rejecting mediocrity is a huge, huge task that you have to work on almost every day.
Yeah.
It's really hard work.
Yeah. I mean, I can't thank you enough for sitting down with me today. And I just feel like what we're talking about here transcends business, right? It is, these are life skills. These are lessons that you can put to work in your life every single day. It's about being a better human. And all of these traits of great leaders are also traits of great humans. And so, a little bit of something for everything in this chit chat.
Yes, as
And,
usual.
Yeah.
For our craziness.
Yeah.
That's the way we are.
That's how we roll. Thank you so much for sitting down
Thank
with
you.
Busy, but don't move because we're going to do a lightning round. Okay, so I'm going to read some questions to you.
Okay.
And your answer. I'm not even going to
I'm ready.
respond, which is going to be really hard for me because, we're chit-chatty around here.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
Let's talk about first question. What are you most proud of?
I am most proud of the team that we've built at Thermal-Vac. Most proud of the spectacular fucking humans that I get to work with every single day. No holds barred. Like the birth of my children, cool. My marriage, cool. Getting on Kilimanjaro, cool. But every single day I get to work with like 40 people that all come together and they're like, you know what I want to do today? Go to this place. And that feels so fucking weird to me. Like I can't help but be jazzed and excited and proud. I'm super, super proud that anybody would want to come work at our company.
I don't fear
failure. And I'm manifesting that right now because I do every single day. But you know what? That is one of my most positive affirmations I tell myself. I don't fear failure.
Biggest mistake.
Biggest mistake. Waiting 36 years to figure out that being me is totally cool and that I had value to this world, that I didn't have to just manufacture some, Barbie front and try to present this little package to the world. That's my biggest mistake.
What's your favorite curse word? Is it fuck, shit, or poopy?
Oh, those are the only 3 I get?
Go ahead, use the range.
Okay. I mean, fuck is so versatile.
Yeah,
it's a
girl.
noun, it's
Yeah.
a verb, it's an adjective. It's
useful.
It's useful. I mean, we should make a dictionary.
I think we should.
Or like an article.
Yeah.
I'm going with fuck.
Yeah, I'm going to.
I concur.
Okay, I stand behind that choice.
Okay.
Most important book.
Yes. Most important book. Start with Why. Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek has figured out that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So if you start with why, you can then realize that revenue is an economic engine. It is not a result.
You dye your hair a lot of different colors.
I do.
Which one is your favorite?
I'm partial to blue. Blue is for colon cancer survivors, so it's been blue for 5 years. Although I am very, very partial to purple as well. Us
See
gals
the purple.
with like some red undertones, we love a good purple too. But blue's signature.
Who's your hero?
Other than you.
You're going to have to do better than that, dude.
I had to say it though,
All right,
because
go,
I love you.
Move on. Cut that out. Jesus Christ.
Well, we talked about accepting compliments.
Yeah,
so
sorry. All right. I accept you. Now move on.
All right.
Okay.
Heroes. Well, I only have to name one. I only get one.
As many as you want.
Oh my goodness. Okay, my mother. Start with my mother. And I don't care if that's cliche. My mother is a batshit crazy person. And I love I love all the molecules that make up her craziness. She is a lover and she is a Mother Earth Gaia goddess. And she taught me everything there is to know about being a crazy, loving person. And I just love that about her. And then my other hero is my husband because, first of all, being married to a person like me who tends to be a little bit, maybe, out of the box, aggressive, over the top, overbearing. I don't know. It's like staring at the rays of the sun, He is that welding glass. Like he just steps right in front of me and all of a sudden I can be seen again. And he's just the yin and yang and all good things and Zen, just Kung Fu Panda. I don't know other ways to describe him other than he is my literal life and my love. And if I lost him, I would be adrift in this world. So that's two heroes. There's another hero, but it's a collective hero. Every single woman who leaves their house every single day and goes to work at a job is my hero, because they are participating in a system where the odds are stacked against them. They are earning 84 cents to every dollar a man makes. It takes them till Tuesday of the following week to make what a man made last week. And I think that that is heroic, to keep going in the face of all of that and just be like, I'm doing that while I'm bleeding.